Sex allows narcissists their control and dominance over their significant other, especially their wives, as it is one of their means to express their desire. Hence, it is quite alarming to know that your narcissistic husband does not want sex with you anymore. It can be one of the telltale signs that they are no longer interested in you. Usually, the reason has nothing to do with you. To understand their behavior, you might involuntarily start to assess where things went wrong or if you've done something wrong. If you want to clarify some confusion, here are 10 reasons why your narcissistic husband does not want sex. Number 1. An attempt to regain control. In a relationship with a narcissistic husband, the dynamics of intimacy take a twisted turn. Initially, you may have experienced his enthusiasm and dominance in the bedroom, but as he reveals his true colors, his disinterest in sex becomes a cause for concern. This withdrawal of intimacy is a calculated tactic wielded by your narcissistic spouse to regain control and assert his authority. Fully aware of the emotional weight of physical connection, he deliberately withholds sex, igniting a destructive inferno within you. Each denied touch and longing gaze deepen your feelings of inadequacy and self-doubt, fortifying your husband's inflated ego. He constantly reminds you of your dependence on him to shatter your confidence and increase your vulnerability. Withholding sex becomes a sadistic game, a means to dominate and manipulate, leaving you longing for the same connection he cruelly denies. Number 2. For their twisted pleasure. Narcissists are true sadists. They take pleasure when they see someone suffer. So if you are in a tight spot and become very troubled regarding your sexual relationship with your narcissistic husband, know that they are doing it so they can feel pleasure. Yes, it is a twisted way for amusement, but your narcissistic husband can only feel it that way. The only question is that are you willing to give them that kind of control over you? As it is a matter of preference, you must consider your partner's sexual preference before tying the knot or having a tumultuous relationship with them. You might regret it if you don't address this issue earlier. Number 3. Clueless on the meaning of relationship. Owning and having a constant narcissistic supply are the only things that narcissists have in mind. It is the only concept they genuinely understand, and apart from that, they just act and entertain others into believing that they also have a clear perspective on that matter, especially in love and relationships. That is why you have to expect that your narcissistic husband is clueless about the meaning of a relationship, including nurturing a healthy amount of sex in your marriage. In truth, narcissists don't understand the importance of sex. They indulge just to lure you into them. So if your narcissistic husband rejects sex, he might have thought he's got you wrapped around his hands. But the reality is that you always have the power to choose to stay or leave. Number 4. Cheating. Normally, when a husband cheats, they withhold sex. But a narcissistic husband may withhold sex to justify his affair. Now listen to this. By denying sexual intimacy to you, he creates a void he seeks to fill elsewhere, using your perceived inadequacy as an excuse to cheat. This manipulative tactic allows him to indulge in extramarital affairs while blaming you, exploiting their insecurities, and maintaining power and control within the relationship. Number 5. Insecurities in their performance. Due to his fixation with perfection and upholding a facade of superiority, your narcissistic husband may refuse to engage in sexual activity. He tries to control every relationship element, including sexual interactions, out of a deep-seated desire for praise and approval. He avoids circumstances where his performance might fall short of his lofty standards by refusing to have sex out of concern that any perceived shortcoming might damage his inflated sense of self. Through manipulation, he may maintain perfection while avoiding any opportunity for vulnerability or criticism during private exchanges with you. Number 6. Sexual orientation. Your narcissistic husband may refuse sex with you if he has a repressed sexual orientation. He may conceal or deny his genuine sexual orientation out of intense concern for upholding his reputation and meeting society's standards. As a result, he can avoid confronting his libido and withhold sex from you to mask his inner conflicts. He can dominate your relationship and maintain a facade of heterosexuality by deception. Unfortunately, with you being his partner, you tend to take the brunt of emotional and physical health sufferings because you lack the connection you deserve and want from your narcissistic husband. Number 7. Attachment disorders. Another reason your narcissistic husband may refuse sex with you is because they have attachment issues. His warped self-perception and trouble making healthy emotional connections can show themselves in intimate situations. He might refuse sex as a self-defense due to his fear of genuine emotional closeness and vulnerability. He can battle with ingrained worries and a lack of capacity to engage and trust you truly. He maintains control and distance by refraining from having sex to avoid the emotional demands and probable abandonment that close relationships may entail. This conduct eventually supports his attachment issue and maintains a cycle of isolation, leaving you, his partner, feeling lonely and unfulfilled. Number 8. Madonna-WHORE complex. The next reason your narcissistic husband refuses sex with you is that they have the Madonna-WHORE complex. This complex reflects his erroneous perception of women as either sexually objectified and immoral, the whore, or as pure and virtuous, the Madonna. He can find it challenging to have a fulfilling sexual relationship with you if he can't put these opposing images in perspective. He withholds sex out of concern that having sexual relations might taint his idealistic impression of you as clean and untouchable. By acting this way, he maintains his power. He finds the toxic dynamic that prevents you from having a satisfying and healthy sexual relationship. Number 9. Punishment. Narcissists always want you to remember there will be consequences when you don't follow their demands, including not having sex. Utilizing sex as a control tool, he deliberately denies intimacy and physical connection to exert dominance and manipulate you. By withholding sex, he aims to assert power and discipline, inflicting emotional distress and reinforcing his superior position within the relationship. This cruel behavior seeks to punish you for perceived transgressions or to exert control over your actions and behaviors, creating a toxic environment where intimacy becomes a weapon rather than an expression of love and connection. Number 10. They are done with you. There are many reasons why your narcissistic husband does not want sex with you anymore, and the most cruel of them all is them being done with you. Narcissists always have a hidden motive when they indulge in a relationship, as they see it as a means to their end. Even marriage. Narcissists will discard and neglect you after they get what they want from you. It might be shameful that your husband no longer desires you, but it isn't your fault if you have a narcissistic one. As a wife, you are meant to be cherished and adored. And if you don't get that from your narcissistic husband, then maybe you should consider leaving them. If your husband can't treat you better, you can at least treat yourself.